What can I, 23M, do to feel less turned on by my girlfriend, 21F? I, 23M, have been dating my current girlfriend, 21F, for about 3 months now. We met on Tinder, and initially I didn't think much of her. She wasn't even really my type. I was going through a fuckboy phase, so I wasn't looking for a relationship, just some quick thing to get my mind out of uni and my part-time job. We met for coffee after work, but then we decided to grab dinner, and then some drinks, and then we went back to mine, and before I knew it I was making breakfast for her. I just didn't want her to leave. Our record for time spent apart from that moment on is 3 days. I'm in love with her in a way I never thought possible. She makes me want to work on myself just so I can be a better boyfriend. I've never felt so safe and loved before. Sounds great, right? My friends say I'm living the dream. Shit, I feel like I'm living the dream. But there's trouble in paradise, and that is where I need advice. It started about 2 weeks ago, this feeling like I'm going through heat. I feel like a teenage boy. I can't even smell her perfume on my hoodie without popping a boner. Just thinking about her makes me so hard I can't function. And the worst part is, jacking off does nothing to help me. It's not about being horny, it's about being horny for her. I feel like I'm going insane. Anyone has some advice on what I can do to control myself? This is really bothering me. I wish I was kidding. English is not my first language. That's literally the sweetest thing I have read today. Drive it till the wheels fall off. Like seriously. Me and my boyfriend went through a phase of this for both of us, could barely be in the same room together for about a month, cold sweat smile. Basically we talked about it, had a lot of sex during that time, and I don't know about him but I took many icy cold showers if I knew it could become a problem on that day. I understand it's frustrating, embarrassing, but try to embrace it and enjoy the ride. It should settle down after a while. Smile. Don't try to control it. Own it. She's your girlfriend, you're in love with her, this is what it feels like. It'll even out in time, and you'll learn how to work around it. Tell her what you've told us about how you feel for her. It's going to have the exact opposite effect of what you want here. Lol. The both of you are going to get wilder, but, tell her. You're young, you're in love and in the honeymoon phase, why would you want to be less turned on by your GF? Passion will settle down eventually and then you'll be in a meaningful relationship and even more in love. You are living the dream. Enjoy it to its fullest. Talk about it with her to be sure she's on the same page, of course. Frankly, I really don't know how to be less excited, think about something else, or take cold showers, I guess. I'm not messing with you, I just don't have any advice not to be turned on by a partner who loves me and whom I love. Hey, it's really sweet you care about her this much. I would simply tell her you're feeling this way and try to navigate the what-ifs. The only thing wrong with this potentially is pushing your libido on her, which it seems like you don't want based on you posting this. You can do it through text if it feels awkward in person, just ask her if she is able to talk. Hey less than GF, sorry if this is super forward but I need to tell you how I feel. Lately, I have been so turned on by you because I am so happy in this relationship. I just want to make sure that I am not pushing your boundaries if I get too handsy or flirt with you in a way that makes you think I am only thinking about sex. I am just very into you. My 18 female boyfriend, 21 male, is struggling with my vow to wait until marriage and I think we need to break up. I've been seeing a guy who I really like and he officially asked me to be his girlfriend last weekend with balloons and a custom pizza. Pepperoni was shaped into a question mark, which I thought was adorable. I told him that as long as he was comfortable with the fact that I don't want to have sex before marriage that it would be fine. He stayed in my room over the weekend and he was very handsy, and when I asked him to stop he kept on repeating how beautiful he found me and would stop for a few minutes then start out again. It really upset me and I wasn't really sure what to say then other than to get up and leave the room. I haven't talked to him about it yet but I think we should break up. I just feel horrible about myself now. Do you think he lied about being okay with saving for marriage? Do you think he is just assuming I'll give in? Is this grounds to break up after only just starting dating? Too long did not read. My boyfriend is struggling with my vow to wait until marriage and I think we need to break up. Yes, it sounds like he's expecting you to give in. Whether or not he has personal convictions about waiting, he should be respecting yours. If you're uncomfortable, that's more than enough reason to end things. He's lying, he already pushed your boundaries and will continue to do so. If it's a religious reason or just a personal code you have stuck to it and don't let someone else violate your boundaries. If it's like this now, imagine 3 months of this, let alone the time it will take for you to be married. Yeah, he lied. Better to leave at the first red flag. Please don't feel bad about yourself. You literally did nothing wrong. I'd be pissed at him. Black heart, black heart, black heart, black heart, black heart, stay strong. Never feel pressured by a guy to have sex, but for your own sake, consider not keeping that promise to yourself. Sexual compatibility is a huge part of a relationship, and finding out if you are compatible, or not, is important before you marry someone. What if he's huge? I mean, I bled for 3 days after sex. Huge, been there, broke up because I knew I could never marry him. What if he likes it super rough? What if he has zero interest in foreplay? When you believe you've met the one, you need to figure the sex out before the I do's. This is for your sake, not his. He's a liar. You're not compatible. This man will do anything to win your heart and then he absolutely won't treasure it. End it and don't look back. Your boyfriend doesn't respect your vow, he is a creep, but at least he exposed his own creepiness early on. I honestly don't see this situation getting easier the longer you are together. I'd move on and find someone with values that closer align to your own. How'd I, 30F, set boundaries in response to my husband's 35M restrictions on me? I cheated on my husband and D-Day was 10 months ago. My husband and I were having a really rough patch in our marriage. Husband was unsupportive of my master's program, that I funded, and made me give up my cat I've had for so long. The resentment built up so much, especially after failed conversations and anxiety, that I lacked the tools to address those issues in a healthy way, and instead cheated on him with a coworker I considered very close to me. I didn't even realize when I was feeling emotionally pulled towards him. All I remember is feeling good just talking to him and sharing my feelings, feeling heard and validated, experiencing happy hormones without even realizing, and not experiencing them when I was at home with my husband. So I chose the artificial high over him, when I didn't even intend to hurt him or cheat on him. All I remember is, one day, after a particularly bad fight in the morning, I had decided I don't want to choose him, and kissed my coworker and had sex with him. Immediately after doing the deed I realized it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth being a shitty person. So I told my husband. He unleashed his wrath in such a way that it scared me. However, by that time I had mentally forgiven him for all the bad parts in our marriage before cheating happened. Maybe, it was a way I expressed my guilt and remorse by silently being okay with how unsupportive he was, or when he made me give up my cat. So for few months I accepted whatever terms he set for me. I was to become a stay-at-home mom unless I find a remote job, never go outside alone, and if I had to, it's to FaceTime him every 30 minutes. He didn't feel secure me working from office and wanted me to find a remote job, which felt unfair because I had just earned my master's and didn't want to limit my options. But I still understand that he will take his time to heal from whatever damage I've caused. However, the worst thing I experience every single day is my alarm. My husband made me record my own voice saying, "I am a horrible person and an unfaithful wife who cheated on her husband and deserves no respect." So every morning I wake up to my own voice telling me the scum I am. This is impacting my mental health, but my husband insists putting this alarm as a punishment for wronging him for at least 3 years. Because I had an affair for 3 months. He absolutely refuses to go to counseling because he thinks counselor might try to make him accept things he doesn't want to accept or lessen the consequences he has for me. I just want to get rid of that alarm. I can accept other things, but I cannot imagine having that as my first thought in the morning for 2.5 more years. How do I set boundaries and communicate in a way that makes him listen to me? This is hurting me. He hasn't forgiven you, he's punishing you. The marriage is over. Leave. See, normally my thought in this is you live by the terms of the partner whose trust you need to regain. But almost none of this is productive toward that goal. The alarm is stupid and punitive. It doesn't serve a purpose. These aren't rules designed to make your husband feel safe and secure again. They're just punishment with no end goal. I don't think he wants a healthy marriage, he just wants to make your life suck. The price of cheating is not being abused up. Leave and divorce this man. The relationship ended when you decided to cheat. He's never going to forgive you and you seem to lack the self-respect to notice that he's abusing you. Oh, for the love of God. Is anybody actually happy in this relationship? Leave and move on. Divorce is the best option for you. Is there any way you can get your cat back? While what you did was bad, your husband sounds abusive. If he's not willing to take actual, reasonable steps to heal your relationship, then you need to get a divorce. Never, under any circumstances, trust a partner that never wants you to leave the house, or be with other people without him present. That's abuse. Your cheating has just given him an excuse to be the person he's always wanted to be without consequences. How can I 29M tell my wife 30F of 6 years that having a third kid is not a good idea for all of us? First time posting, so my apologies if it's a wee bit jumbled or clunky. Thank you for your patience. Me and my wife have now got 2 beautiful kids, a 5-year-old daughter and 2-month-old son. We love them dearly, as any parent should. I love my wife as any husband should. Recently though, as in a few weeks after the birth of our son, my wife started saying that in another 2 years she wants to try for a third, then later became more definite saying that we're going to have a third and has started planning in her head for it as if it's a done deal. We cannot afford a third kid. As much as I would love to fill our house with as many kids as possible, I love watching kids grow and develop and learn. We can only reasonably afford the two. 1 was easy to adjust for, 2 was a little bit of a belt tightener, but 3 we'd be looking at being in debt every month. Not being able to give each kid the time and attention they deserve. Not being able to do the things we want to do with them. Not being able to take them to the places we'd like to, etc. For clarity, our first was a surprise as we were told we would not be able to have kids without help, so we didn't use protection. No need, right? But quite soon after we had her, we both agreed we wanted a second now that we knew it was possible. A little backstory. I'm an only child and my wife is one of 6. We've both of us always wanted more than one kid. My childhood was spent mostly at home because my mom was too ill to take me anywhere most of the time, and my dad was working as much as he could, eventually having to stop entirely to become my mom's full-time carer. As such, I know what it's like to be constantly disappointed that we couldn't go somewhere or do something or get something that I wanted. I quickly grew up, however, and realized it wasn't their fault, so I never blamed them, still don't. My wife, on the other hand, was lucky that her family were the opposite. They got to go everywhere and do everything. No grudge against that, but it's meant that she seems to not understand that when I say we can't afford a third, I don't mean just in terms of money, though that is a big part of it. I don't want my oldest child to inadvertently become third parent. I don't want my son to suffer the classic middle child syndrome. And I don't want them all to feel like they're missing out and having to fight for their parents' love and attention. Another thing is that while my wife was in labor with our son, someone mentioned the possibility of having a third, or were we stopping with 2, now that we had 1 of each. I chuckled along with them and said, oh no, 2's enough. My mother-in-law said that if my wife wanted another child then she would get it, and that if I wouldn't give her one she would go and find someone who would, because that's what I would do, and I know my daughter. I turned around and said that no, she's more loyal than that, and that was that. Or so I thought. Recently though, while I was holding our son, my wife said that she can't believe he's already X weeks old. I said, yeah, I can't believe how fast it's gone, to which she replied, it's alright. In another 2 years we'll have it all to do aga, and then said it again in her baby voice to my son, ending with, much to your father's disgust, then laughed. I laughed too and said, well, not to my disgust but to my bank's disgust. She said it's not all about money and we can start putting a bit away in the savings pot, so by the time it arrives we'll have enough. Forgetting the fact that we don't have enough to put in the savings to begin with, and even if we did it would last us a year, maybe 2 at the max, and then we'd be back to square one. The conversation sort of ended there, but it left me wondering, if she really thinks she knows I'm disgusted by the idea or even just against it, why would she be pushing for it anyway and talking as if the decision has already been made? Does she really respect me that little? Which led me to question, would she really go off and find someone who would give her a third child if I didn't? For clarity, I have never ever had reason to distrust her fidelity in the 10 years we've been together, so I'm not about to start now without clear evidence. The problem is, this isn't the first time she's tried manipulating me and emotionally blackmailing me, but back then I put it down to pregnancy hormones. So I just want to know, how do I even bring the subject up without sounding like I'm just a dickhead who doesn't want more kids? Maybe I shouldn't even bring it up and just gently steer her away from the idea and avoid unprotected intercourse. What am I supposed to think? I mean, yeah, I get inside my head and overthink everything, so there could be that too, but Reddit, seriously, what can I do here? Thank you. Too long did not read. My wife wants a third kid despite knowing I have reasonable reservations. Make a very detailed budget and sit her down to go over it. Show her that you simply cannot afford it. Also explain that she cannot force you to have a third child. It's not healthy, and that perhaps this is a discussion a therapist could help by. Because if one partner desperately wants more children and the other doesn't, it's a very complicated situation. But she can't just waltz over your feelings and objections like that. I can't believe she is even thinking of another kid with a 2-month-old. Are you completely in control of finances? Does she see them or understand money coming and going? A side note, what your mother-in-law said to you about, "That's what I do," is one of the most fucked up things I have seen in my time reading this forum. What the fuck is wrong with her? What she said is incredibly weird and inappropriate in every single way. Add this to my list of reasons to tell my mother-in-law I appreciate the hell out of her when I see her later today. Wow. Honestly, if you know for definite you don't want any more kids, I say get a vasectomy. Too many stories out there of people messing with birth controls to get pregnant. Having kids needs both people to be on board, but if she wants another that bad and you don't be surprised if the marriage ends so she can have more kids with someone else. Well, if you don't get a vasectomy, she will have a third baby. I don't know what to tell you because your wife and her mother sound a little off, to be honest. Her mother saying your wife will leave you, her husband, because he won't have more kids? That's kind of insane to me. Go get the snip. Sounds like your wife and her mom are manipulative and will do whatever they want with zero regard to reality. How is she planning to help pay for another child? You can't afford it. Tell her all you said here and show her the finances. Bottom line though is that if you don't want more kids, don't have more kids.